So to start off, welcome to our preparation meeting for Grand Europe Wine Cruise, May 17th. It is coming up. It is 23 days away. That is not very far away. And I do want to take a moment and introduce you to your hosts that will be on the Grand Europe Wine Cruise. I'll introduce myself, James Murphy. I own the Expedia Wine Club Cruises in Petaluma, California. We're in Sonoma County. And we have two wonderful wine hosts that are going to be with us. And I'm going to ask them to introduce each other. And Paul, if you want to take it away.
Sure. Tim's a dear friend, a master sommelier, so capable of amazing feats of daring do with a glass of wine and his nose, and full of good stories, and probably the most interesting guy I know to talk to about actually tasting wine. He has all sorts of little fun exercises and games to play while he does it, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of those on the cruise.
Thanks, Paul. So I can introduce Paul, good friend, dear friend, colleague. And Paul, I was thinking about it. I've known you for over 30 years. So talk about a lifetime in crime. So Paul and I go way back when Paul owned Balzac Communications, and he was one of the first people to do PR for the Court of Master Sommeliers in the US. And then from there, we worked on a lot of projects together, Paul. We went to Europe. We've been to Europe, I don't know, 10 times at least.
Yeah.
And traveled in places like Italy and Portugal and Spain, and yeah, lots of good things. So Paul is the best storyteller about wine, incredibly knowledgeable, but no one can make wine more realistic and easier to understand than Paul. So it is a thrill for me to team up with him again, and we're going to be guilty of having too much fun, I promise you.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, thank you very much. This is just a reminder of where we are going to go. We're going to start in Amsterdam, and over 2 weeks, we're going to work our way down the rivers of Europe and end up in Budapest, Hungary. So it's going to be an amazing trip. I do want to cover just a couple things. I'm going to do a couple slides on preparing for your trip. And then Paul and Tim will go more into kind of the wine experience that we're going to have on board. And of course, while we're doing tips, Paul and Tim, you guys have done extensive travel. If you want to add any comments, please feel free to interject. So the very first thing, it is time to go ahead and do your cruise check-in. And I don't know if everybody's done that yet, but this is the right time to do it. You just go to AmaWaterways.com. I put a little red circle. That's what the icon looks like. It's kind of on the top right-hand side. It says cruise check-in. You just click on that. You put your booking number, your last name, and then it'll ask for your date of birth to validate that you are the correct person. And it has you do all the normal, put your passport in, answer a bunch of questions, and then boom, you are all checked in for your cruise. Two things happen once you do that. You'll be able to see the list of shore excursions that are available, and you will get a document package from your travel consultant. And I like the comment. It says to print or not to print. That is the question. It is a big document. You do not need to print that entire document. Page 4 is like a summary of your cruise. I would print page 4. And then page 7 is a map to where the ship is going to be located. I would print that so that you have it. If you're using a taxi to get to the ship, you can just hand it right to the driver and he'll know where to take you. This is a good idea that we've found is on your phone. You can go ahead and create an album called Grand Europe, and you can take photos, maybe start with your passport, that page 4 of your summary of the cruise with all your check-in documents. If you have a voucher for a transfer, you could take pictures of all these things, and then you just touch the picture. There's a little box with an arrow that comes up, and you can add it to your album so that you have kind of a photo of the critical pieces of information that you might need. And it's handy right there in your phone, which you typically always have with you. This is a picture. I asked AmaWaterways to send it to me of where the ship is going to be located. This is the page 7 that you'll get in your documents. You can see the little purple box at the bottom of the screen says Amsterdam City Center, and then it's got the central train station. The ships normally dock close to that location, but you could see our ship is going to be a little bit north and over on the side, and it's got the name, which I would probably slaughter the pronunciation, but that's why we'll print it out. And I'm just going to ask the hotel to get me a taxi that can take me there in the morning on that day so that I can get to the ship. That was what I was planning.
Mhm.
Preparing for your cruise. Air flights, they used to be more fun than they are today. It's almost like the price of your vacation is getting there. And I'm just going to encourage everyone that, you got to go with the flow, and it's all moving pieces, and you kind of ebb and flow, and don't get too upset if something gets delayed or canceled. Just kind of move with it and keep a positive attitude. I will mention a little tip that I learned about luggage. My wife and she packs her suitcase, I pack my suitcase. And it wasn't until one of our suitcases didn't show up that we learned to cross pack. So I always take a couple outfits out of my suitcase and put it in my wife's, and I take a couple of hers and put it in my suitcase. And then we also tend to carry a little bag with us on the airplane with just like at least a change of clothes if our bags didn't show up.
James is just saying that to explain the women's underwear in his suitcase.
Yeah, I know. It makes it sound a little better that way.
Yes.
And then if you don't have travel insurance, I just want to throw it out there. It's not too late for travel insurance. You should talk with your travel consultant. They have last minute travel insurance that's not very expensive because you really don't have the cancellation protection to worry about anymore, but it's the medical piece while you're traveling. To have primary medical while you're in a foreign country is something that gives me a peace of mind. I never purchased it before I was in the business, and now that I'm in the business, I don't travel without it. So I highly encourage you all to have that discussion with your travel consultant. The other tip is use the apps. I think people that travel a lot, they have their iPhone or their Android, and download the apps. Get your airline, United Airlines, Delta, American, get AmaWaterways. I downloaded the AmaWaterways app. You probably can't see it all that well, but you know, if there's going to be a flight delay or any problem, the first people to know are the ones that have the app. And it just keeps you, it pings me, hey, it's time to board your plane. All the little steps, it's great to have. And then, of course, during the cruise, you'll want the AmaWaterways app. It has the itinerary where you're at every day. The little daily newsletter is in there. So that is always good. Other comment would be turn your phones on when you get to Amsterdam, when your plane lands. A lot of times people just forget to turn their phones on, and then it's like a long time has gone by. They can't find the transfer that's supposed to pick them up, and then they turn their phone on, and the transfer company's been trying to reach them for hours, and they're gone. So I just turn it on when I land. If I have a transfer set up, I usually have a text message from the driver, and I just tell them, hey, we just landed. We're heading to passport control, and sometimes he'll text me, hey, it's been 45 minutes. And I tell him, oh, we're still in line at passport control. And then he'll text me like, I'm over here by stanchion 5. So it's just a good thing to use your phones when you land to make sure you stay in touch with the transfer company that's giving you a ride to your hotel. Passports, there's always a question of passports. Should I be carrying it? Should I not be carrying it? And essentially, we recommend don't carry your passport when you go on shore excursions on the cruise. Just leave it in the little safe that's in your room on the ship. If you're making a huge purchase, I know this affects Paul. If you're going to make a huge purchase and you want to avoid paying the VAT tax, um, you will have to show your passport to make sure that you get the VAT exclusion and you can avoid paying the tax. But other than that, I leave it on the
James,
ship. Go
would
ahead,
it
Paul.
work? Would it work to show a photograph of your passport?
I do not know if they would accept that.
Yeah,
If
I
you're
don't
going
know
to be
either.
buying that $40,000 diamond bracelet, you probably should just bring the passport and have it with you. The other thing, just to remind people that passports, you need to have 6 months left on your passport before it expires based on the date of return from our trip. So if you're coming back, whatever, June 1st, your passport needs to be valid for 6 months past that time. And if it's not, please call us and we'll help you through getting your passport renewed in an expedited fashion. The other tip of the day is they still put the daily cruiser on your bed on the ship, and it has what time the ship is sailing and how to call the ship. And if you take a picture of that uh, when you're on the boat, you'll have the contact info. So if you're out walking around town and you get stuck or something happens, you could always call the ship and let them know what's going on, and they can help you as well. Money, there's always questions about money. I always carry some euros with me. I don't think you need a lot of euros with you, cash, when you're traveling to Europe. But I do carry some. And when I check in at the hotel, sometimes, like if I order them from our bank, 20 euro notes, the smallest note they give me. And when I check in at the hotel, I just break it. I get some small bills because I want to tip the guy that's going to bring our luggage up. And I get some coins because the public restrooms in Europe, a lot of times you need a euro coin to use it. So it's good to have some coins and some paper money with you. Did you know that Hungary does not use the euro? It uses the Hungarian forint. And do you need to bring those with you? No, you do not. I even went as far as to ask Orsi, our travel guide in Hungary, and she also agreed that we do not need to bring any forints with us. You can pretty much use your credit card everywhere you travel, and they take euros, so you can just use your euros while you're in Hungary at the end of our trip, and that's not a problem. ATMs are a great way to get euros when you are there. The only thing is we encourage people, there are a lot of scams in Europe with, I don't want to call them fake ATMs, but they're ATMs that have very high fees. But we tend to see ATMs that are attached to a bank tend to be very good. They don't have these crazy fees that try to charge you lots of money or have crazy exchange rates. So as long as you're at a bank and it's in the lobby or it's attached to the wall outside the bank, I think that's a pretty safe place to use your ATM card and get some local currency. It's always recommended to learn a few words in the local language, at least be able to say hello, say thank you. I'm going to teach you a couple words on the next slide. And then if you do carry a credit card, like my United card has no foreign exchange fees. So I can use it in Europe and I don't get charged any extra fees. So you might want to just check which of your credit cards have no foreign transaction fees and make sure when you're traveling, that's the card you're going to use.
James,
So,
Forrest had a question there as to whether Amex is accepted everywhere in Europe.
ooh, I don't know about American Express being accepted everywhere. I would say that is one I've had more problems with. Visa, certainly, I've had no problems with. What about
Yeah.
you, Paul, Tim? Anybody else have any?
So I'll just
experience.
share real quickly that the two cards that have the most difficulty in Europe are Discover and Amex. And that's generally because they charge the highest rate to the vendors. So there are a lot of vendors who won't take them. So I highly recommend that you always, at least as a backup, have a Visa or MasterCard handy.
Agreed. Thank you, KK. Okay, so here's our 3 words that we're going to learn because these will be very important on our trip. And that is how to say cheers in a couple different languages. So in Hungarian, it's Ege Schregendra is how we're going to say cheers. And in German, it's Prost. And then I wasn't familiar with this one, Paul, but I Googled it, and it says for wine, when you do cheers with wine, it's more common to do the Zum Wohl.
I'll defer to Tim on that because he knows even more about German wine than I do. What have you heard, Tim?
Okay, well, I was in Austria about 2 weeks ago, and Zum Wohl never came up. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, it was always Prost. No matter, it's
Okay.
universal. It's the universal language, right?
Very good.
Yeah.
And then in Amsterdam, it's essentially the same thing. They just put an extra O in it, and they say it's a Dutch word that means good health. So there we go.
I like that you started with the hard one.
Yes, I know. And one of the ladies in our office actually used to live in Hungary, so she helped me with that. Okay, the PowerPoint is struggling again. It is spinning. There we go. Okay, just to mention shore excursions. Oops, it went too far. Oh my, it's going really fast. Shore excursions, because that's always a big issue. You can sign up for them on the website after you do your check-in. If it'll back up one more page, that would be nice. But I just want to encourage everybody that the way it works on the river cruise is every afternoon, the cruise manager will do a discussion with the group telling you about the next day's activities. And they are almost always very flexible on what shore excursions you can do. So if you signed up for one, but you want to change to another, you just let them know and they'll change your yellow ticket to a green ticket. And I don't know why the PowerPoint is choosing now to have a problem. But you can see they have all kinds of different activities, from high activities like biking, but they always have regular activity. And then they have a gentle walkers program. So if anybody is mobility challenged, they will have a gentle walkers program, and it's highly recommended. I don't really know about this portion. This is like a wellness program. My wife was doing it every morning. It was like 7:30 in the morning. They did yoga and stretching up on the top deck. And I don't remember participating in it, but my wife highly recommended it. And they do have a wellness instructor on the ship who can help you with all of that.
Yeah, in regards to the shore excursions, I'm going to echo what James has said. I've never been on a ship with AMA where literally the morning as we left for our shore excursions, people would come up to the cruise director and say, I really want to go to this one instead of that one. And I can't remember a time when the cruise director didn't just say, fine, here, go to the other one. We have room for everybody in all these adventures. So do go through and pick out your favorites and get excited about them. But also don't sweat the details too much on that stuff.
Yeah, because if any of them say, oh, it's full or anything like that, you just talk to them once they're on the ship. And I've always been accommodated. And the bicycles, even though they might say, oh, this bike trip is full, I just ask about it on the ship. Once people are on the ship, they tend to, oh, maybe biking 14 miles is not a great idea today. And then the spaces open up like crazy. So, but we're now at a good part of the trip here, a wine experience discussion. This sounds like the type of thing Tim and Paul should take over on.
Yeah, well, I'll start by saying we've had all sorts of fun working with a wine shop in Europe to pick out some really lovely, delicious, fun wines to taste. We will start the cruise with a welcome reception up on the sun deck, and I'm assuming it's going to be sunny. So if it's not, we'll do that on the rain deck, or in the dining room or somewhere else. And then we have 5 wine tasting seminars, 6 dinners, and then Tim's going to do a special little tasting. Tim, why don't you talk about the seminars and I'll talk about the dinners, or do you want to flip that? However you want to do it.
Yeah, sure, Paul. I'll talk about the seminars. So, the first one that's listed, Taste Like a Master. What I'm going to do in the course of 90 minutes or however long it is talk about 3 strategies from my book. So at the end of 2022, I published a book I've been working on for 10 years that's called Message in the Bottle. And it's a really deep dive into wine tasting, professional tasting. So what I'll do is I'll talk about tasting in general, connect it to especially smell and taste memory, but also go through some really short, easy drills on how to figure out what smelling techniques work best for you, because everybody's wired slightly differently. We all have the same nervous system, but in terms of how we're wired internally, it's different for everybody. And also different people have different sensitivities to various things in wine. So we'll talk about some easy strategies that will really help people just increase your enjoyment of wine. And then the pairing seminars, the wine tasting seminars are all either country-based or regionally based. And like Paul said, we have spent a lot of time going back and forth and coming up with, I think, is a really fantastic list of wines. And, tastings that will really showcase the best of what each of these places have to offer. So I'm looking forward to it because it's just an opportunity to taste a lot of great wines and drink them too. We don't forget that, right?
And so the tastings are going to be are somewhat going to mirror the dinners. We will have a dinner with wines from Alsace, and we will also have a tasting of wines from Alsace. You'll notice that I don't call them Alsatian wines because my friend Mr. Trimbach says Alsatians are dogs. We make wine, so they are wines from Alsace. And then we'll do a German wine dinner. And in fact, little surprise guest, we will have a German winemaker join us to taste wines and serve that winemaker's wines with one of the dinners. We'll do an Austrian wine tasting, and we'll do an Austrian wine and food pairing dinner. And we have Alsace, we have Germany, we have Austria, we have Hungary. That's 4 countries. Tim's doing a tasting. And then we thought, well, we ought to taste something else. What else would we taste? And we thought, well, wouldn't it be fun to taste Italian wines? So we're going to do an Italian wine tasting as well. And then the dinners, Alsace, Germany, Austria, Hungary. But we also have a German winemaker joining us and a Hungarian winemaker joining us for the last night in Budapest. And actually, I'm really looking forward to that, because I teach at an MBA program in Europe, and 2 of my students over the course of the 9 years I've been teaching that course, 2 of them have come from the same family winery in Hungary, and they're going to join us for dinner that night in Budapest and pour their wine. So it should be fun. Lots of fun, and the wines are terrific.
That's great. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys so much. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And I'll just add the comment that I see Doug's face on the camera, and Doug helped us plan out the timing of all these events so they do not conflict with any of your shore excursions that you're going to go do. So don't worry about, should I book this shore excursion? I don't want to miss the tasting. They will all be when we're all on the ship. Of course, we have to throw the caveat out there that the ship may make some last minute changes, and we will, like, we're all going to be flexible and we're going to roll with it if we have to make a change, and we'll do the best we can to keep it from interfering with any of your shore activities.
Yep.
And that was literally it. We want to open it up and have you ask us some questions. So I'm going to stop sharing and just fill the screen with face. And let's see.
Holy mackerel.
What questions do you guys have that we didn't talk about? Oh, it's nice to see everybody's face. feel free to turn your cameras on. You may all have to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question live. I don't know if we covered everything that was in the chat window.
How about recommendations for clothing?
I would encourage you to wear clothing, Glenn.
Oh,
I'll ask someone
I'm not
to
going
cover
on
that.
cruise
I have
if
to
wear
run.
clothing.
Well, it is Germany.
Like how
So,
dressy?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and take that question. Thank you for asking. It's a great question. So you're going to find that throughout Europe, it is not uncommon for the gentlemen to just wear a jacket sometimes for dinner, not every night. As a matter of fact, there will be some who will wear it one night and only one night the entire time. Certainly no ties are required. There will there's not any formal nights at all. River cruising is very casual, so you're going to find that for ladies, you're going to see an awful lot of slacks and tops. You may see a dress or so. I would encourage a sweater in the dining room because, you know, sometimes they put the air conditioning on and it can get cool, or even a wrap around you. Very comfortable walking shoes are an absolute must, simply because lots of cobblestone streets. And so you're going to want to be able to walk everywhere. And ladies, be careful because, you know, those even flats can often have a wedge heel. And those are really difficult on cobblestone streets. So think of something that has a broader flat base. You know, tennis shoes or dark walking shoes are very common. And then because of the time of year, I'm going to highly recommend layers. And that means that don't bring any big jackets that are going to be bulky. Maybe bring a light windbreaker that's water windproof that you could put something on underneath, because in the mornings and the evenings it can get a bit cool. And then during the day, the temperatures tend to rise up quite a bit. So you're going to find don't bother bringing any umbrellas. In the event of a sprinkle, the ship has umbrellas. They have the lovely big golf size umbrellas. But you are going to want to wear or bring with you a light jacket. That's for certain. Hopefully that answers your questions. There is laundry available on board. So for a
Ben will
Oh,
be
fee, but
happy.
you can certainly do laundry on board if you need to.
Sure.
I'm going to reiterate, no ties. I've done, I don't know how many cruises on AMA, and I have never put on a tie. I will put on a sports jacket at least for the captain's dinner if I'm lucky enough to sit at his table. But yeah, most of the time it's comfortable, relaxing sports shirt, slacks. You feel great. Yeah, comfortable.
So how many wine cruisers will there be versus what I understand is maybe 150 people on the boat? How many of us will be together?
We're about a third of the boat, so around 50, a little over 50 people in our group.
Very good.
Yeah. So be prepared for the others on the ship to continually ask you, who are you guys and why are you drinking all that good wine?
Well, and one of the things that I will recommend is you're going to be receiving your, and I'm giving a little bit away here, but you're going to receive your Wine Crew Society pins on board. And I do highly recommend that you wear those because the Wine Crew Society is going to be recognized. And that way, no matter where you are, everyone will know that you're part of the special wine cruise. I'm sorry, someone else had a question.
We will teach you the secret handshake on board.
And I see Susan waving. Go ahead, Susan.
There's a small dining room what is that?
It's called the chef's table.
Yeah, and how do you do that?
So you make reservations for that on board once we're on board, and everybody will have an opportunity to dine in the chef's table. And it's like a little pairing menu, smaller portions, delicious. It was one of my favorite meals I had on the last AMA cruise that I did. Susan?
Will we get a list of all the dinners and pairings and all that stuff ahead of time?
Oh, yes, you will have that in your stateroom. It'll be every day, what time everything is.
It
Yeah.
won't be before we sail.
It actually
Um,
will. We usually try to send it out just shortly before, so it won't be too
okay.
far in advance because we're waiting for a few things to be confirmed from AmaWaterways.
Okay.
But yes, you'll generally have one. Again, I like to say it's also with a little grain of salt saying that it could change.
Right.
But James, were we going to talk to Amma about the fact that maybe, given the size of our group, they could just reserve the chef table for 2 nights that wouldn't conflict with any of our wine dinners and set our group up for those 2 nights at the chef's table?
We
I
are
could
waiting for that
do that.
confirmation, so I
Okay.
think we'll pause on that until we get that confirmation back.
Okay.
Yes.
That I think that's what Susan was really asking.
Well, thank you for asking that, Susan.
Well, I have a question. Glenn and Robert, what are you guys drinking?
What, Kathy and Robert? A Delormier. How about that?
This
Cool.
is a Shea Vineyard Rosé.
Excellent.
A Pinot Noir. We got a lot of sun today, and it makes me think it's summer already.
Perfect.
Yeah, Glenn, shout out to you. I'm glad you're on the cruise, fellow New Mexican. So
Yay!
great to see you guys. Yeah.
And Susan, what are you drinking?
We're drinking a Goodfellow rosé. Pinot.
Probably from the same trip to the Willamette.
Right.
Great.
So are there excursions planned or available in Amsterdam and Budapest? Because, we're thinking of going to certain museums and other activities. So what can you say about what's being offered or provided in Amsterdam and Budapest?
So in Budapest, you definitely will see what the excursions are. I think there's 3 of them. And you can click on the details and it brings up a full description of what the tour is going to be. Because we overnight in Budapest the last night of the cruise. Now in Amsterdam, we don't overnight in Amsterdam. So I don't know that there are any excursions in Amsterdam that are available. It'll have to be on your own.
Are you flying it ahead a time, Bill?
Yeah, we're going to arrive on the 15th in the morning.
As are we.
Good.
Yeah. So what time do we have to be on the boat? And when can we, maybe this is all details that are covered to be.
It is, but it's really okay to ask. So I think when you arrive that afternoon, when you arrive on the 15th, depending on what time you're arriving, you could have a little excursion that afternoon if you'd like. It depends on how well you travel and how well you adjust to time. The next morning, of course, I know that there are several guests who are planning an early morning excursion. So you can be on board the ship anytime after 12 noon. We don't recommend that you come any later than 3 o'clock at the very latest.
Is this the 17th or the 16th you're talking of?
So the date
17th.
Yeah.
17th would be the day of the cruise. So if you have the 16th available to you as well for touring, so we can certainly help you set up. We have some wonderful tour guides. We work with an organization called Tours by Locals. We can set up some wonderful tours for you in Amsterdam. And I will quickly just tell you in advance that if you don't already have tickets to Anne Frank House, you can't get them at this point.
But we were
It's-
planning to do.
That's amazing.
And I see
Sorry, I
on
could-
your material, you are planning a canal cruise for us.
I'm so sorry. I can hear someone talking, but I
We
can't
thought
hear you.
that my wife is saying she thought she read that canal cruises would be available or not.
It says
So
the day too, you'll get.
Yeah, well, we would just have to, I think when you log
so
in.
I do show that the itinerary shows that the ship is overnighting. So
Oh, it does overnight.
if the ship is overnighting in Amsterdam, then they do a canal cruise
Yeah.
on the day that the next day. So when I'm looking at the itinerary, see on the 18th, it looks
Right.
like you're going to have a canal cruise. So you'll get a chance.
Yeah.
You want to do
Okay. Thank you.
Once you
Oh, my
And I
bad.
would-
where to go.
I do see it on the app. That's why you want to download that app. It does say Sunday, May 18th. There's an Amsterdam Canal Cruise, or you can do the Taste of Holland tour. So those are
And I would just say, if you've not been to Amsterdam before, the Rijksmuseum is one of the greatest museums on the planet.
Planning on that too.
And they do say that it's difficult, the tickets are sometimes a little complicated. We found that if you show up right when they open, the whole museum is yours. And it's absolutely breathtaking from beginning to end.
I already got it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just went online the other day to the Rijksmuseum because we're flying in. I think we get in at 10:30 in the morning, and I was looking for something that would keep us awake and not taking a nap and making our jet lag even worse. So I signed up for the museum just in the afternoon to go to keep us awake, and
We
I
got
was
it.
able to get
We
tickets,
signed up
no
too.
problem.
Yeah.
This is Mike Wellman, and we signed up for a pre-cruise in Amsterdam.
Excellent. That's the AMA pre-cruise. So you're going to have sightseeing. You'll have sightseeing with AMA, and you'll have a wonderful experience of a variety of things that they show you. So you'll have that. For those who are doing it independently, that's where I think we're trying to help them to make the most of their time there.
Okay, just wanted to make sure the pre-cruise is still on.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Could I ask a question about the whiskey? We understood there would also be some whiskey tasting on this.
All right.
I think that's being confused maybe with the bourbon cruise in October.
Yeah.
The
It was
bourbon
supposed
cruise
to be this
has.
one.
I don't
Okay.
remember there being any
Not that I-
whiskey discussed on this particular cruise, but they obviously will have whiskey on the ship, and we could do our own tasting. I am a big bourbon fan, so I
That's a
would
relief.
definitely enjoy having some old fashions with you on the cruise.
Okay, I think we must have misunderstood the marketing conversation we had originally.
Maybe that's the Kentucky cruise.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pre-cruise.
Tim's wine tasting techniques will work equally well with whiskey.
Yeah, and yeah, they will.
Mhm.
Some variations. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes, the documents you mentioned, specifically pages 4 and 7, is AMA going to email them to us, or do we go on the website? Because we haven't received that yet.
Yeah, they're not quite available yet. I didn't get mine either, but your travel consultant will email those to you as a PDF file as soon as they're available.
So you guys will send them, not
Yeah.
AMA?
Right.
Okay,
We'll send them
got
to you.
it. Thank
Yep.
you.
Anything else that you can think of?
Yeah, do make sure that you have completed your check-in because that can delay your documents. So as long as you've done your check-in,
But partially done.
all of a sudden they suddenly start pouring in. And as they do, James mentioned a packet, but really it's an electronic packet.
Yeah.
So all the documents are delivered electronically.
This is Joe and Mary Ann Burkhart. If you
Hi.
could give
I
me,
don't know, she's
hello, if you could give me a rough guess as to how many euros we should take.
So that's always a tricky question. James, do you want to handle that? I can see your.
I was going to say, I don't know if we need to be paying Paul and Tim some extra. If you slide them some extra euros, they might be giving you some extra advice on which wines to drink while you're in various cities along our cruise.
That advice is free.
Yes.
But I don't think you need to bring a lot. No, I mean, I have been able to use my credit card everywhere. And then once we're traveling, you can get euros. You can get them on the ship. You can get them at an ATM.
Okay.
I've never had problems getting them. So I only travel, if I had 100 euros or something like that, where if I had to jump in a taxi, I could get to the hotel if I didn't. But even the taxis will take credit cards for the
They'll
most
take
part.
credit
So,
cards.
Okay.
Yep.
yeah, you don't need a lot of euros.
Yeah, and in the past, that's what we had taken. We had taken 100 from our bank, and we always at the hotel cash them in for basically coins because we were always told that you have to tip the driver, have to tip the guide, €1 or €2 per person.
Yes,
That's
right.
true. Yeah.
So for my transfer from the airport to the hotel, I usually want to tip the driver. And then every day on the cruise, I usually tip the tour guide and the bus driver, you know, and they have some recommended amounts. If it's a full day tour versus a half day tour, they'll let you know. But yeah, it's like €1 or €2, and you'll need a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Do they have Uber?
They have Uber and they also have Bolt. So you can use either. It's Bolt is going to be probably pretty common in most of the countries that you'll visit.
Okay.
But definitely Uber works as well. The Uber app works. And then of
And
course
you tip on your Uber.
Yeah.
and you do that all through your app. So the
Right.
nice thing is it'll be actually charged to your credit card. I think James mentioned earlier, I always recommend that you look at or talk to your bank, find out which one of your credit cards has no transaction fee, and then make that your primary card. Use that one as to withdraw funds or to, there's a lot of them now that have no transaction fee, so it's worth asking the question. And that way, anything that you charge along the way, that's one less fee that you'll pay.
Right.
Which is really helpful.
Yeah, we're good.
And I have a quick question. Someone is registered as Forest Desk. Who is that?
That's Sandra and Forrest.
Okay. And last name, please?
Harstad, Harstad.
Great, thank you. So I'll forward your booking number to you. You said you couldn't find it. It is on your invoice. So they had posted a question in the box about booking number. So on your invoice, your confirmation from Expedia Cruises, your consultant would have sent you along the way. Directly under the pricing for the cruise portion, there is a booking number.
Okay.
But I'll go ahead and look that up for you and I'll send that to you.
Thank you.
Of course.
Is everybody ready to have a good time?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And
Already.
the nice thing, as soon as I logged into the app, it said 23 days to go. And it's like, oh, I should open it every day just so I can watch the countdown.
Will he be on the cruise?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's good.
So
Can
for
you
the
guys?
people-
Oops.
Question.
Yeah, go
For the
ahead,
people
Susan.
who weren't able to be here, where do they see this recording?
I'm going to send it to everybody. So once it's all digested, I'll trim it up to just our portion and send it out to everybody.
Okay.
Can you
Yeah.
buy euros on the ship?
Yeah, you can usually exchange yours. They won't do huge amounts, but yeah, if you need $100 or something like that, you can get euros on the ship.
So they'll transfer. So basically, if you bring US with you, you can get euros for it on the ship. Is that what you're saying? Or do
Yes.
they charge it into your account? Okay.
Oh, they might
Either
be able
way.
to do it both ways. Either way. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep, very easy.
Okay. Well,
So I think there was a question or a comment. And so, yes, the answer is James Murphy is going to be hosting this cruise with you. You'll have James along for the entire voyage, as well as his wife, Cynthia. And of course, you'll also have Paul and Tim. And they're just going to have a great time because everyone is a wine enthusiast. So this is going to be a great trip.
and I'm going to encourage everybody that if you're in port and you happen to buy a bottle of wine, Ama is totally fine with you bringing that back on the ship, and we can open it in the lounge and just before dinner sit and have enjoy some of the local wines. Of course, the 1 hour before dinner, Ama does a complimentary cocktail service every evening, which I know some of you will be having old fashions apparently. So
Yes.
Drink bourbon.
Yeah, I believe so.
all right. Well, with that, I will go ahead and say thank you to everybody, and we'll go ahead and end the session. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us in the office. ask your travel consultant. They will help get you any answers that you need.
All right.
Okay, so goodbye, everybody. It was nice meeting you face to face.
Bye.
Oh,
Thank
Look
you.
forward to seeing you.
Bye.
Yeah.
See you in 3 weeks.
just
Okay,
one quick question.
Was there
Yes.
another question?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Joe and Mary Ann Burkhart. We all have smartphones. We all have Apple Watches. We all have so many other connectivity things. How many plugs will be available to charge the smartphone, the Apple Watch, and other
Yeah,
electronic devices?
there's just one US plug in the lounge and we all have to share it. So it's a very structured type of thing.
Okay, wait.
No.
There's something that I have to tell you all about James. So pranking and joking is his thing. So I'm just preparing you now so you don't think it's him being mean.
Yeah.
No, there is actually every stateroom has a US plug. There's always at least one US plug, but the nice thing is that they have USB ports. So
Yeah.
you'll be able to charge directly in through the USB ports. And then of course, if you want additional plugs, your iPhones and iWatches, all of those the little boxes that they use, those will go directly into an adapter, so you don't need a converter. You can use an adapter, and that way you'll have multiple more plugs. So I do recommend you can get an adapter very quickly, very easily. There's a great kit for them on Amazon. If you're Prime, you'll have it tomorrow. If not, you'll have it next week.
Yeah,
What is
exactly.
that adapter called?
It's called an adapter, a European adapter. And if you just type in adapter for Europe or European
Yeah.
adapter from US to Europe, it'll pop right up. And
Yeah.
if you have any difficulty finding it, please let us know and we can send you a
Well,
link
see,
with some
we've got a lot of
recommendations.
stuff. I gotta get the box and see.
Yeah. It's pretty easy.
All right, thank
Okay.
you.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you, everybody, and we'll talk to you later. Bye, Paul.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, James.
James, bye.
Bye, Tim.